More provinces are endorsing President Cyril Ramaphosa for a second term, but not so much his deputy, David Mabuza. Mabuza's own province, Mpumalanga, yesterday announcing Justice and Correctional Services Minister Ronald Lamola as their choice for the position.
Lamola is set to race against, amongst others, ANC Treasurer General Paul Mashatile in the December elective conference. But what about David Mabuza? Let's get some analysis now with Ibrahim Harvey joining us via Zoom. Ibrahim, thank you so much for your time this morning. How significant is this now, endorsing of indeed Ronald Lamola to run for deputy president come the national elective conference later on this year, especially taking into account that both himself as well as David Mabuza come from the same province?
Yes, thanks. No, it's very significant, and I think it probably signals the political end of the road, in a sense, of David Mabuza in the top six, and certainly now you can see his own home province, opting for Ronald Lamola. Well, I'm certain that you see, David Mabuza has not exactly distinguished himself. How he became deputy president was part of the factionalist agreement that was reached at Nasrec in 2017. And not to be harsh towards him, but I think he's been quite poor as a deputy president to Ramaphosa. And I'm not surprised. Although earlier, there were indications that they would back him for deputy president, even if he did not vie against Ramaphosa for the presidency. There was a lot of that talk, but it has receded. And you can see yesterday the PE is taking the decision. Although I think there are certain elements that were reluctant, but nevertheless, they were swung by the majority decision to go for Lamola. It's the end of the road. And some people might say deservingly so for the deputy president, I don't want to go to that extent, but really I think it is the end of the road for him. And I don't think he will see any top six position. In fact, I think that at the national political level, government certainly, I think we've seen the end of David Mabuza. Some people might say deservingly so and others not. But that is my short take on it.
Ibrahim, what does then this mean for the politics in Mpumalanga? You've got two people coming from the same province, one which you're saying essentially has not really, made an impact on the political landscape, at least as a deputy president for the country. And then you have somebody else, of course, who is coming from the same province, who is seemingly favored, who some possibly feel like can actually do a whole lot more as the second in command. But what does it mean for the province's politics?
Well, it certainly means for the province's politics that this is, probably as a result of the experience with Mabuza, remembering that he was before, provincial leader and a lot of unresolved issues from that period. But I must tell you, if you had asked me, was David Ramola, if he was the best candidate, whether from that region, obviously, it smacks of, a provincial take on this matter. But to be honest with you, I've looked very closely at Lamola in the ministerial justice position. And really, I don't think, you're going to need a very powerful and strong ANC deputy president if you see what Ramaphosa is going through. In fact, the bigger issue of the day is less the fate and future of David Mabuza, and much more if you're happening to Ramaphosa at the moment. It is very, very serious. But you have called me and interviewed me regarding this. I don't think, to be honest with you, it's a sad reflection on Mpumalanga's caliber of leaders. Honestly, asking me that Lamola, I've seen him, and I don't think the deputy president position would suit him, and we deliver anything remarkably different from David Mabuza. I don't think so. I don't foresee it really. But that's the take. Once the PEC takes a decision, that's it. It's another matter whether he is a suitable replacement for David Mabuza, and you assess his Minister of Justice, how his performance was. That is another matter, and a lot of issues can be spoken about. There is some positive, but I do not think really that he is deputy president material, because you must remember, you're not just talking about deputy president, you're talking potentially of the presidency thereafter. It's always the case, even with the ANC and the state. So, more so, when you look at the potential to be a president when you're a deputy president, I do not think Lamola, honestly, with all due respect to him, would be up to the job, and especially what would be required. We're in the worst crisis in the ANC, in the ruling party in this country. So this transition taking place now calls for the best and most powerful leader as deputy president. And honestly, Lamola doesn't cut that figure for me at all, to be very frank,
Well, Ibrahim, I want us just to labor on a point that you've made so that we actually can go there. Let's take it there. You were speaking about how, what is also a big contentious, or the elephant in the room, is whether or not Cyril Ramaphosa, come the end of this year, will actually be elected the president of the African National Congress for a second term. This comes at the back of even reports that we've just seen even this morning that it looks as though that Cognitive and Traditional Government Affairs Minister, Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, who's not new, obviously, to this presidential race, it looks as though she's raised her hand up once again, or at least reports are suggesting that she's put up a hand once again to run potentially against Cyril Ramaphosa come the National Elective Conference later on this year. Your take now on this latest development? I mean, it looks as though it's history repeating itself all over again, but could we see something significant, especially given the unfolding of politics within the party of late?
No, I don't think, I didn't think that, with all due respect to her, she was suitable for the deputy presidency in the 2017, electoral conference, DC. But my feelings about, has not changed, at all, to be honest with you. I think the ANC, would be, if you look at what Ramaphosa is faced with, I think your question is legitimate and an attempt must be made to answer it. But I really think far more important is what is happening right now. And perhaps this morning you wouldn't want to focus on it. But the battles, and then you can see the decision of the High Court to annul the suspension of the public protector, has just deepened the problems facing Ramaphosa, and it certainly, I think, strengthened the impeachment process. And you can see how the first time ever have coalition parties united around the demand of this public protector report on Phala, So there's a whole lot of issues, those kind of issues, as important as they are. And also the Lamola possibility coming into as deputy president are important issues, but they're not the issues of the day, I must tell you. The most important things right now is what is going on in Parliament, what is happening to Ramaphosa and the impeachment process and the decision of the court to throw out annul the decision to suspend the public protector. Those are the burning issues of the day. What happens in December, to the deputy president position, I think is subordinate to who is going to win the presidency. That is the key thing, because historically, in fact, the deputy president of the country has always played second fiddle. In fact, even when Motlanthe was deputy president, he complained that he hardly, you're very subordinated. The presidency dominates utterly the deputy president, in cabinet and everything else. It's an important position, but not as important because of the powerful post of presidency and how it subordinates completely in every respect. I recall Motlanthe speaking often about it, So those are the key issues. And really, I think that is where we should be addressing, a discussion. I don't think that the deputy president post, it's important to look at, but I don't think it deserves as much attention as what is going to come out of what Ramaphosa is facing at the moment. Those are the most burning issues of the day, really. And I repeat again that Lamola, to me, is not deputy president material whatsoever, to be very frank with you. And maybe it's just a reflection of the poor caliber and quality of leaders of the ANC, and not only in Mpumalanga, but honestly around the country, And that's why, you can see things changing now with the deputy president position and Lamina Zuma coming in as a possibility in December. It's because the pool of ANC leaders who could go either to challenge Ramaphosa or for the deputy presidency is relatively poor, to be honest with you, I'm talking now straight from the heart here. I do not think that the ANC has got the caliber and quality. We have the leadership crisis, in fact, in South Africa is best epitomized in what is happening to the ANC. So when we talk of a leadership crisis and vacuum in this country, it is the ANC that criticism is leveled and pivoted around. And, this is just my very brief response, to your questions. I think we should be turning more towards Ramaphosa and the predicament and problems he's facing right now. Those are the biggest issues of the day, honestly.
All right, Ibrahim, thank you so much for joining us here on the South African Morning and just helping us unpack, of course, as you mentioned, the leadership crisis happening in the ANC. That is political analyst Ibrahim Harvey, of course, and it's important points that he's making, that essentially it's the tallest of the two dwarfs in the ANC. It's the better of
the lesser evils. The lesser
evils at this point. You're going to go for a Cyril Ramaphosa because you kind of feel that there is really nobody else. And then you have Mamkosazana Dlamini Zuma who's saying that, well, yes, I lost in 2017 because, at that point there was the Tumamina campaign. President Cyril Ramaphosa seemed as though he was coming to save us from Jacob Zuma. But then now with everything else that he's going through, she's probably thinking,
this is my opportunity.
Yeah, he's weak now, so I can hit him a lot harder now than I could 5 years ago.
But where are the young people in this whole conversation?
Ronald Lamola.
Because exactly. So should we be having conversations about people coming back into the fold and contesting for leadership? Or should we be having a bigger conversation, whether even in the political party itself, to say, all right, to look at the long game here, should we not have the more younger blood almost coming in and throwing their names equally into the fray, right? Ronald Lamola, I'm sure, is not the only person wanting to come into this, but have we given these young people spaces to even exercise their political prowess, right? Or have we just subdued them so that, when it comes to the real leadership, we can find the same old names being repeated? But again, these are just party politics. What then counts at the end of the day is not what happens in the political party, is what you choose in terms of who you're going to vote for come 2024, because that's where the real conversation starts, about who we as South Africans actually choose to lead us into that next 5 years. And that's irrespective of who's the president of which political party.
Yeah, most definitely.